Welcome to our today's tutorial. I'm glad to have you on board as we discuss our next exciting episode on JavaScript called loops and iterations. Now we started a journey of discussing about control structures, and in our previous video we are discussing about the conditional statements. It was an exciting moment for us to be together. If you missed that video, kindly go to my YouTube channel and check that video. How we were discussing about the conditional statements. We looked at different types of conditional statements, and today we are going to look at the loops and iterations. Also is another segment or another type of control structures. Now in this particular case we are going to focus on the repetitive nature of the program. So there is some bunch of statements that you require to be repeatedly executed in your program, and therefore you are at the right place to get this knowledge of how you are going to implement that particular part in your program. Now without wasting time, let's dive in and see how you can implement loops and iterations. Now loops, we have got different types of loops. We have got what we call a while loop. Now when you talk about a while loop, it's just to say that we have got a keyword called while, then followed by the expression. When you talk about an expression, is basically a comparison or a logical expression. Now once you have the when you talk about comparison or logical expression, it means that you expect two output. It's either a true or a false. Now if that condition is going to be met, then a certain bunch of text is going to be executed. Now that particular part is going to be continuously being executed until the condition is false. Okay, so the condition will keep on being executed until when the condition turns to be false, and then the program will halt in that particular case. Now JavaScript interprets a while loop as follows. Just a simple way, this is just an English-like statement that's trying to explain to you how JavaScript interprets the while loop. Just to say that, okay, as long as the expression remains true, I will keep running through the loop statement, but as soon as the expression turns to be false, I'm out of there. So that's just simple how the while loop works. Yeah, so I'll keep on executing whatever you are giving me to execute, so long as the condition is right, or so long as the expression is continue to be true. But in case the expression turns to be false, I'm out of there. I'm not going to run anymore. Okay, now how best can you use while loops? A while loop is basically used when you are dealing with naturally occurring conditions. Yeah, naturally occurring conditions that turns out to be a comparison expression. For example, down here we have got a natural occurring condition. So this is a natural occurring condition. Now this is to say that we are having a variable called sum, and we are assigning a value 0, and then here we have a num, and then we are prompting the user to give us that number. Then down here we have our while. Okay, so our while is just trying to say that num is not equal to null. So long as a number is not null, I'll keep on executing. Yeah, so long as the number is not null, I'll keep on executing. But when the number turns to be null, I'm out of there. Okay, so that's how I've just interpreted that particular part. Now you come to this particular section, we are saying that sum plus equal to number and into bracket num. What is happening in this case is what we call type conversion. Remember, we have got two types of type conversion. We have what we call the explicit and the implicit. So when we talk about implicit, it means that the compiler is the one that takes that role to do the conversion for you. But in this particular case, we are very much explicit. This is an explicit type conversion. Now we are taking whatever we have been given by the user, which is a string, and then we are converting that string to a number data type. That's why we are using that number here, so that we convert it into a number data type. Now if I'm supposed to expand this line of code so that you can be able to understand, I'm just trying to say that sum is equal to sum plus num. That is what that statement is all about. So just to say that whatever the number that you have been given by the user, you are going to insert it here. For example, he has given you 1, but the initial value of sum is 0. The initial value of sum is 0, and therefore if I take 1 plus 0, I'm going to get 1, and therefore it means that new value is going to be assigned to 1 to sum there. So when I go to the next iteration, I'm not going to use 0 anymore. I'm supposed to use 1 here. When I come to the next iteration, I'm going to use 1, and then here I'm also going to be prompted to enter the second number by the user, by the program. Then the user may, for example, gets an input of 2. Yeah, so when the user gets an input of 2, it's going to have 2 here, 2 plus, now the new sum is going to be 1, and then the new sum is going to be 3. So that like that. Now for example, I've reached at this particular point, and then the user this particular time is not going to give you any input. It's not going to give me any input. As long as that particular input is null, then it means the program will stop from running. And when it stops from running, it is going to alert to me the total number of numbers is, and then give me the sum. Now in case it's going to happen in this particular second iteration, then the sum that I'm going to expect is going to be 3. That is what is going to happen in this particular program, just to explain the list. Yeah. Now we move to the next type of a loop, is what we call the for loops. So the for loops is a loop when you know exactly how many times you want to repeat a certain group of statements. So in this case, you are very much aware of how many times the program is supposed to run. Now the structure of the loop looks like this. So this is the syntax of a loop structure. These are just a syntax of the loop structure. So we have got the first part, which you call the initialization. So this is the initialization. You give us the start value, and then after that you are supposed to give us the condition, and also you are supposed to give us an increment or a decrement. So a for loop is made up of 3 sections. We have what you call the initial statement, yeah, or the initial statement, and then we have the condition, and then we have the iteration stroke, the decrement. Okay, now to say the counter is just a variable, a numeric variable that is used as a loop counter. So I've already explained that. Then we have the start, which is the initial value or the initial counter value, and then we have this counter expression. This gives us the either a logical or a comparison expression that determines the number of times the loop is supposed to run. So in this case, you are going to specify how many times the loop is supposed to run. Then we have the counter. I've explained that this is an increment operator that enable us to increase every time by 1. We increase every time by 1. And then we have the statements. These are the bunch of JavaScript statements that are going to be executed every time the program runs. Yeah. Now you go to this particular slide here. We are going to get we are going to apply, yeah, we are going to apply the same program we wrote in while. Remember, this is the program that we wrote in while loop. We are going to use the for loop to do the same. Now we are going to have the var, which is num is equal to 0, and then we are having the variable called num. Yeah, we are going to have the variable called num, and then we are going to say that for var counter is equal to 1, and then we say that counter is less than or equal to 3, and then counter plus plus, and then inside here we are saying that num prompt that give us the input tells the user to give us any number. So once the user gives us the any number, we do what we call explicit type conversion here, and then we assign the new value to the sum in this particular case. So that is how you can be able to apply the same exercise or the same task using the for loop in this particular case, and then it's going to give us the output that we require. Now do while is also another type of the loops. Now there is a difference between do while and while. So when we talk about while is a precondition, loop statement, while do while is a post condition loop statement. Yeah, so you can see here we have the do. Now another difference between while and do while is that with do while you are very much sure you'll have at least one execution or one output. You are very much sure that you'll have at least one output. But with while, it is not determined. In case the condition is not met, there is nothing that is going to be executed. That's the difference between those two types. And now here to say that you have got the do part, and then you have the statement to be executed, and then the while is going to check the condition. If the condition is met, and then you go to the second iteration. Statement represent the blocks of statement to be executed each time the loop through the loop, and the expression is a comparison or logical expression. So I've explained that part very well in my previous slide. Now moving to the next slide, we are applying the same thing, but now using the do while. Yeah, so we are saying that sum give us this sum is equal to 0 var num, and then do the following. Can you prompt the user to give us input? Once the user has given you input, can you assign the new value to the sum, and then can you be able to calculate that while what Yeah, so we are having a while condition. So you can see this is a logical operation or a logical expression, an or logical operation. This is to say that if null is identical to is not identical to null, okay, or sum is not equal or is not identical to 0. So you can see here we are using the identical and not identical. Okay, so we are saying that sum is not identical to what? To null. And if the same or sum is not or sum is identical to 0. So once this condition is met, then it will go back and then do the next iteration like that. So just be careful in this particular case, the expression that is being used here. Is it a logical expression or is it a comparison expression? Now you can see here is a combination of the logical and the comparison. Here this is a comparison, this is a not identity operator, and then this is the identity operator, which is just trying to check if the num is not null. Yeah, and then if that is not, if that statement is true or not true, or sum is identical to 0. So by doing that, it means we are checking two conditions, and in case any of these two conditions is true, then you are going to have the next iteration. But if both are false, then you are not going to continue with the execution of this particular program. Yeah, so that's about the do while. Then you go to the next one, controlling the loop execution. There are two ways to control the loop execution. We have what we call the break statement. So the break statement basically is the one that is applied to jump or to prevent the rest of the statement from executing properly. Yeah, or that satisfies what the loop was trying to accomplish. So by using break, it means that you are going to terminate that particular part, or is just supposed to move to the next section of your program. Get out of that particular block statement. That is simple to explain what the break statement is all about. And then you can as well be able to use continuous statement. And then when you talk about continuous statement, it's just to say that it allows the user to enter one or more values no matter what. Yeah, no matter what we have said earlier, or no matter what the condition was, and or if it has done the right thing or not. Can you continue accepting the user input? That is what continue is all about. Accept the new user input, even if maybe the previous statement or the previous condition was not true. Okay, so that is the two ways you can go to control the loop execution. Is either you can go for break to get or to execute, or maybe to prevent the rest of the statement from being executed properly, or you can go ahead to be able to use continue, just to continue accepting the user input despite maybe the previous condition, if it was met or not. That is simple to explain how to apply those two statements. It's very important for you to get that part. And here we have the example of that. You can see we have if num is less than 0, sum is equal to 0. Yeah, so break. So jump to the next part of the program. Or jump to the next block of the program. That is how it is being explained in this particular case. Now the same applies to this particular part. We are just saying that if num is not identical to null, continue. Yeah, so just saying that if the number that you have been given is not null, just continue. That is it. So it will just continue to the next part of this particular program, and then it will just come to do the sum calculation in this case. Okay, so that is it about the continue and break in this particular case. Now without maybe you can have an example of this so that you can be able to get more information of how you can apply this. So I've got an exercise here for you to help us to understand what I'm talking about. Let me just minimize this, and then I go here. We have got 3 tasks to accomplish. We are saying that write a script to print numbers from 1 to 0 using different types of loops. So it is just trying to test you if you have understood how many types of loops do you have. We have the for loop, we have got the while loop, we have got the the do while. Yeah, so those are some of the loop statements you have looked at, and therefore in this particular case you are just required to write different scripts but going to give us the same results. So in this case I'm going to apply the following. I'm going to use 3, the ones that you have been able to discuss. We are going to have the 4. So 4, and then you can say let I, you can just say let I is equal to 1, and then you can use that, and then you say that I is less than or equal to 10, and then you can say that yeah, you can just say I plus plus. Yeah, remember we talked about 3 parts of a for loop. We have the initialization, we have the condition, and then we have the increment stroke decrement. Now you can have that, and then you can just write console dot log, and then into bracket you can just say I, like that. Okay, and then we move to the next line. You can just go to the next line, create another iteration of another loop. We can just say let j equal to 1, let j equal to 1, and then you can say while j is less than or equal to 10, while j is less than or equal to 10, you can just say console.log, and then you can just say j, console.log, then you can just say j, and then you can say that j plus plus, so that we can increment, we go to the next iteration. Then in case you are not comfortable with the while loop, you can as well apply the do while in this case. So you can just say that we have got a let, maybe you can use the word like a, let a is equal to 1, let a is equal to 1, and then once you have been given that, you just go to this part, and then you say that do. Yeah, okay, no, not right, it's not supposed to have the do there. Okay, so you just move here and say do, and then inside that statement you just say console.log, and then you can have your a there, console.log, and then you can have your a there. And then here we can say that k plus plus, and then you can have your while. Now you can have your while loop, your while here. You just say while you can say k is less than, while k is less than 10, while k is less than 10, like that. Okay, so in this particular case I've been able to apply the same task, but using different maybe variable names, but it's just going to give us the values to print the numbers between 1 and 10. It's going to print the numbers 1 and 10, and then we are going to see the output as we go further. Allow me to go to the next exercise. Next exercise here is to say create a script to generate a multiplication table for a given number. Create a script to create a multiplication table for a given number. Now when you come here, we just say that, for example, we have a number like let the num be maybe equal to 4. Then say the number is 4, and then we want to apply the for loop. Let's apply the for loop so that we can be able to get all the multiplication of the multiples of 4 from 1 to 10. Okay, so we're just going to say that let I is equal to 1, and then we can say that I is less than or equal to 10, I is less than or equal to 10, and then you can say I plus plus, like that, and then you can just go ahead and say console.log, and then you can just say num, and then you can just say plus. So we are just giving an expression. This is just but an expression x. Yeah, this is an expression of what we want to do. It's a multiplication, so we just say plus I plus then you can just say plus. Remember, these pluses are just meant for concatenation, so these pluses are meant for concatenation. Is equal to, okay, is equal to plus, then you can say now plus, now num times I. So this statement is very long, but I think it is well understood. Now I'm just going to explain what is happening. So I'm taking the num that I've been given, the num that is here 4. So I say 4 plus, yeah. So plus in this case is used as a concatenation. This plus is used as a concatenation. Remember, this is a string. From this particular point up to this particular point is a string, yeah. Up to this particular point is a string. So it is going to tell me the number. So it is going to say 4 plus 4 times whatever I am using, maybe 4 times 1 is equal to, and then now we calculate here. This is where the calculation takes place. So 4 times 1, it is going to give me 4. So that's why we are saying equal to 4. Okay, like that, yeah. So I'm going to run this, and then you'll be able to see the output. I just want to continue to the next part, that is it, and then I can be able to run all of them at once. And now the last question here, they say develop a program that calculates the number of calculate the sum of numbers in an array. Okay, so let me just write a simple array. We can just say array max. Just say array let max is equal to, and then we just give array values. Okay, so we can have the square bracket, and then we just say that the following students scored like this. Okay, 56, 87, and then 90. You can just say 90, and then we can have maybe 59. So those are the array names, the array numbers or max. Then we have let sum is equal to 0. Give it an initial value of 0. Then you can just go ahead and say for let I is equal to 0. Then you can say I is less than number plus number dot length, yeah. So this particular part is just trying to calculate how many numbers do we have in our array. So this part is just helping us to calculate the number of the numbers that we have in our array. Remember, it's not a number here, it's supposed to be max. So here is supposed to be max, so we are using max, so it's supposed to get us the max, the number of max that we have in our array. Then we have that there, and then you can just say I plus plus, and then we can just say opening curly bracket, then you say sum plus equal to, you can just say sum plus equal to max, and then you can just say into bracket I. So it's going to give us the sum in each and every iteration that we make. You take the mark, you take the index of that particular mark, and then the marks that have been stored in that particular index, and then assign it to the sum in this particular case. And then after that, doing that and doing the iteration, finally you get out of the iteration, and then you give us console.log. You can just say the sum is, or the max, the total max is, and then you can have your full column there. Then you can just say plus max. That is it. So you can have that, and then you can put a semicolon at the end. So when I save this, I just want to run it, and then I see what will be the output. So I refresh it, and then I go to inspect page, and then I go to console. So there is an error somewhere. You can see, first of all, these ones at the top is giving me the right figures. We're giving the right responses for 4. You can see here we have it up to 10. Then we come to the second one, we have it up to 10. Then there is an error in K. When they are saying that there is an unquote error, K is not defined. Okay, it's not defined. So we go to our do while. This is where the error is. So we don't have K, we have A. So we are going to say K here, and then we can say A because we are using A. So it's not supposed to be K++, it's supposed to be A++. yeah, and then the while also is supposed to use a, yeah, so that we have some kind of proper way to run that. And then when I do that, you can see it is giving us the values that we need, and therefore all the three loops are running correctly. And then after that we come to our multiplication table. So this is our area where we are running the multiplication table here. This is a simple multiplication table, and as I was explaining to you, you can see how it is going to happen, that we are having 4 times 1 is equal to 4, like that, it goes up to 10. So you can see this is a multiplication table of the 4. Yeah, so you go to the last part whereby we are getting the total mark is, yeah, so we are supposed to get the total mark, not this particular statement. So we are getting the total mark is, and then instead of adding it, we are getting that particular figure. Now let's check together what might be the problem in that particular case. Okay, so let me check the error. Okay, let me see. Marks is here. We are getting the marks. We have been given the marks in an array. So what we are interested with is the sum of marks, the sum of the total marks, and therefore we are having the sum equal to 0. And here we are saying that sum. Okay, so I think where the error is, I think this is where the error is. We are supposed to use sum, not marks. So we are supposed just to change here to marks, to sum, and then when you run your program, by default you are going to get this particular output here, 368. So 368 is the output, that we expect in this case. Okay, so that is all about the loops and iteration as used in JavaScript. Okay, so you can go to do more practice on this particular area to see if you have been able to grasp the three iterations that you have discussed. Now there is one that we are supposed to discuss, but I think we can discuss it when we are discussing about arrays. We call it a for each. So for each is mainly used when you are dealing with arrays, and therefore I think we'll capture that particular part when we reach in arrays. Thank you so much for listening. Kindly click on the subscribe button to support me, and also you can turn the notification button on so that when I go live next, you'll be informed. Bye bye for now. Thank you so much.